Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Johnson and I'm the founder and CEO of Bellum Innovations, where we are in the business of improving medical education technology, and thus by extension improving medical education itself. It's a great day here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where we are giving a presentation to an interested institution. I'd like to extend a special thanks to Dr. Eileen White, who is working hard doing that right now. The purpose of this video is to briefly display some of our technological capabilities through a module that we jointly developed with Meharry College of Medicine through Dr. George Burrow, who's over the Department of Professional Education there. In order to fully appreciate what it is we do and what it is we plan to do, which is to create a complete online medical education technology that is integrated, you have to understand our teaching philosophy, which goes along with that of Dr. Howard Gardner of Harvard University. But that's beyond the scope of this video. So we urge you to go to our website at www.belluminnovations.org and read up about who we are and what we believe in. What we were asked to do is to create an example module in the area of anatomy. Now, we've done modules in pharmacology, some simpler sciences, etc., but this is anatomy. So you can navigate to the hand like this. You click on it and then you're given a view of the hand. My professor, Dr. Arthur Jackson, taught me that the best way to dissect is in layers, and so the student can click these representations and go down in layers and see the hand. And then, of course, in hovering over the receptacles, the names of that particular anatomy are available. But that's not really special. In order to really augment the experience, you have to give at all opportunities clinical correlations as they are available. All right? And this may include video, this may include tutorials, this may include whatever it is necessary in order to give the student that optimum educational experience. Let's switch to the posterior view of the hand. Okay, and then here is the cutaneous sensory distribution per nerve. In order to get a three-dimensional view, we will provide a link. The student can hop on, get a 3D view. Hovering over these little receptacles here will, of course, give the name. Clicking any of those will give a more detailed view so that the student can both learn from what they will see in the lab as well as the more classic way that they learn from, say, a Netter's. But what we've provided over here are certain multimedia items, tutorials. There's a 5 to 10 minute tutorial that very briefly but highly effectively goes through the flexors of the forearm and the hand. Here's a clinical representation of radial nerve palsy, ulnar nerve damage, median nerve damage, so that the student can view a clinical example of what these things look like. So what would happen is they would click on radial nerve palsy, for example. It would pop up Windows Media Player in this example, and then the student can just kind of get a look at what that seems like. And I'm not going to play the video here inside a video, but you get the idea. We've also included certain mnemonics and teaching tools to smooth the learning process. A radiology room has been provided here so that, and just kind of see the workflow here. The student is studying the carpal bones, all right, and so they'd go, say, from the 3D gross anatomy of the bones of the hand. Let's see where we can find that. Gross hand, 3D bones, and then jump from there to see the radiological representation, just like that. Okay, integrates it. And then, of course, here are some of the pathologies, certain fractures and what they look like. All right, now if you noticed along the bottom here, we have included histology, and this is just an example. We're just trying to display how we can package something together to create an optimal learning experience. Muscular arteries, osteoclasts, these are the histological structures that one would expect to find in the upper arm, okay, in the upper limb. Let's go back to the main menu. All right, so You've seen how there's virtual dissection. You've seen how there is 3D gross anatomy. I've shown you how it is. We have multimedia incorporated, how there's radiology, how, and I didn't go over this, the student may assess him or herself, and we would work with faculty to create whatever questions they needed, be they board-based or internal assessment-based. All right. But here we have also created this nerve boot camp. And this is an example of how we can take some of the more traditional methods of learning things and augment them so that learning experience is maximized. All right, the big diggity with the upper limb is the brachial plexus, because the nerves come out of the neck in this example, and then they go down into terminal nerves in the arm. So this is a good place to begin study when one does the upper limb. But the brachial plexus traditionally looks like this in a textbook, and then it's color coded, but it's very difficult to appreciate the spatial orientation. So we've created this 3D model so that one can see the posterior placement of nerves and then kind of get a better understanding of what happens if there's a posterior injury. Of course, hovering over the receptacles and clicking on it, and this is kind of what one would see in a textbook. All right. But through many pages, the student would gain, hopefully, an understanding of the brachial plexus, but we hope to speed that up or bolt it down, or both, by creating these functional nerve maps. Now this has a lot going on, but what it is a color-coded and sectionalized representation of the brachial plexus, starting from the roots, as the brachial plexus begins at the spine, okay, and then hovering over it tells everything that one wishes to know about the brachial plexus at that part. The fibers, where they're derived, what happens if you hurt that root. Okay, onto the trunks, same deal. Hover over it. Here's even an example of what it classically looks like in an injury to the superior trunk, the middle trunk, the inferior trunk. Okay, to the divisions of the brachial plexus, the cords of the brachial plexus, any of the little nerves that branch off at any part. You can hover over it, find out what the nerve does, where it goes, and what happens if you hurt it, to the terminal nerves of the brachial plexus. Okay, but those nerves have so much information themselves that most of them have been given their own miniature modules. And before I show you that, notice that here we have videos representing brachial plexus tutorials, Erb's palsy, winging of the scapula, which is a damage to the long thoracic nerve, suprascapular nerve palsy. These videos just right there. They can learn it, then they can incorporate it, they can get a clinical representation. But because the brachial plexus is taught more, is currently taught in a certain fashion, the students may feel comfortable having a classic image of the brachial plexus so he or she can kind of orient him or herself as they learn from this slightly non-traditional approach. Okay, so for example, we then move on to the musculocutaneous nerve. And you can tell from this flow chart that we start at the spine and then we end up as one of these nerves. And then moving on from the nerve, there's an example, brachial plexus comes out here. If you want to know where the musculocutaneous nerve is, you hover over it and it shows you this is where we are. All right. Also, the median nerve is represented here. And if you want to know what is innervated by the musculocutaneous nerve, you hover over it. It tells you biceps brachii, and there it is. Brachialis muscle, and there it is. All right. Now, it's important to understand the cutaneous distribution. What do the nerves do to the skin for as far as feel is concerned? And so we have this represented. That's a very important aspect of anatomy, especially as it pertains to understanding clinical representations. Patients will come in, they'll not be able to do certain things, and then they'll be numb over certain areas. And bringing that information together will help you understand what anatomy has been damaged, if any. Okay, we head back to our home page here. You see those videos are represented here, and these nerve labs are represented for all of the nerves of the upper limb, the main nerves. All right. Now, the deficit map was created to just kind of give a powwow All right, what happens if you mess this up? So here's a classic image of the brachial plexus, and then you hover over the receptacle and it tells you, just solely tells you what happens if there is a deficit. You heard it here, it looks like this. You heard it here, this will happen. You heard it here, it looks like that. For all of the main and primary nerves that come off of the brachial plexus, including the brachial plexus itself. I think that this gives an adequate overview of what our capabilities are. We have a pharmacological example here. I think I'll just pull that up, in which it's a whole lot less of the 3D and a whole lot more of the simplified, integrated sort of approach, where per drug, and in this case ACE inhibitors, the student can see the target mechanism, the drug family, drug action, side effects in these very simple and user-friendly appearing interfaces. Our intent is to create an online tool that can be accessed by mobile devices. This is the iPhone age, this is the BlackBerry age, the Android age, this is the netbook age, that a student can open his or her computer wherever he or she is and access this material, and the material is at the standard that is required of them. This concludes our brief overview of some of the technology, and if you have any questions, my email is available on our website, as is that of any of our advisors. I urge you to go to the website. We have some very exciting people who have agreed and who believe in what it is that we're doing, including Dr. Keith Black, Dr. Randall Maxey, former presidents of the National Medical Association. I got to meet with Dr. Ben Carson, and you'll see that video on there. So hop over there and see what it is we're all about. Anyway, thank you very much. Special thanks, as usual, to Dr. Bro at Meharry, Dr. Eileen White, who I may have mentioned earlier, as well as all of our advisors. Thank you very much, and have a very good day.